I'm here with Rob Hohmann, really good guy. Met him through a mutual friend, um, Carolyn of For My Card, one of our wonderful partners, introduced us. Rob, you are in like myself. You are a patriot and love trying to help veterans and trying to do things for veterans. And you're also a hockey fan, so that endears you to me forever. So uh, your team's not terrible. I mean they've won a couple cups the last couple of years, so your team is, and they're tolerable to me. I like them. So, but Rob, welcome to the show.
And
You are
thank
our
you.
health insurance bodyguard.
Thank you very much for inviting me. It's a pleasure to be invited and have a discussion with you. But yeah, it's funny. I play college football, but I've always just loved the sport of hockey and, originally from Chicago. And now that I live in the Tampa Bay area, they put up a pretty good showing, more or less, the past few years. But it's just like any sports fan. It's like it's never enough. Winning's never enough. Keep on winning.
Yeah.
So, but you know, it, it, I'm still going to go to a hockey game, and even when they're losing too. So I've been through the early 2000s when Stamkos first came on board. I mean, good grief, Barry Melrose was the coach.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah, I
yeah.
remember how people were so excited about Melrose being a coach, and then you guys found out real quick why he hadn't coached in 12 years.
I don't know. It's like just stick to ESPN and just comments and stuff because yeah,
Yeah.
I remember when he was the coach of the Kings back in what was it, 91. So I mean,
Yep.
they were in a Stanley Cup final, and
Yeah, he also had a player named what was his name? Gretzky.
Gretzky was on that
Yeah,
squad.
yeah,
Yes.
that kind of makes coaching. That's kind of like people talk about. I mean, Chicago Bulls. Oh, yeah,
Yeah, when
but
you had Jordan and the
Jordan and Pippen. Oh,
right.
come on, I
Mhm.
could coach, and I couldn't hit a. I can't hit a basket if it's 4 foot tall. So I'm gonna miss. But
Right, right.
you've been doing you've been focused around health a lot of your life. You mentioned that you were a college football player. Is that one of the reasons why you went into health insurance? Did that have sway in what you were doing?
Actually, the reason why I went into the health insurance arena, my wife had sold her business, um, and I basically wanted to get involved with something that serving people, trying to help, but it was more or less my real my disdain for this Affordable Care Act that came down the road back in 2010 that was voted on, and then it was basically implemented 2014, and I got involved in the insurance arena in 2016, and been doing it ever since. So
Let me and I know that we said nothing about politics, but let me ask you this: what is it about that act that really is something that you got? Oh, why should people stay away from
well, actually, the act, when it was implemented, the 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 Affordable Care Act required you to get insurance, and you were penalized for not having it. In 2019, that was you know wiped away, so no longer was that an issue. And then don't get me wrong, there was ways of getting out of getting penalized for health insurance and stuff. I mean, there's all sorts of angles that I was very astute to, but the that was really my disdain, was that you must buy insurance. I'm being told and penalized if I don't do it to their satisfaction. But you know, honestly, nowadays the level of and it's getting I mean it's crazy how much that the government is offering in tax credit assistance to people that are like, I don't qualify for assistance. Well, I was talking with a couple and $250,000 annually for two adults, 56 and 57. They, if they made less than 250,000, they qualified for assistance. And I mean, they're throwing money at people to get them because the participation in the marketplace is really the ultimate goal of because it's a government entity in many cases, at minimum at a state level, because you've got your the marketplace is available in most states, but there's other states that have their own individual marketplace, Colorado being one of them, and then there's also Las Vegas, there's let's see, Maryland, Pennsylvania, and I mean, there's just too many to list. New Jersey, New York. So, each one of the states has got their own brand of how they want to implement. And it's it is. I'll tell you what, the moniker of your health insurance bodyguard. I mean, there's no violence involved with that, mind you, but it is all about protection. It's sometimes you need an interpreter to understand exactly what's going on out there, and it is, I believe, deliberately made confusing. And really, I mean, the problem with healthcare in the United States. It's the only industry, if you think about it, that we agree to get something done without first getting a quote, because you're getting auto repair, you're gonna get a quote. All right, you want to get it done. You're gonna paint your house, plumbing work done. You're gonna shop for a tool of some sort. You're gonna look around, and it's unfortunate that we've come to this situation where most people are just fine with uh, agreeing to get a procedure done without fully understanding exactly what the cost implications are going to be. And many cases, the doctor has no idea how much it's going to cost because he's not involved with the billing process. But I tell everybody that, listen, you should always be asking questions when it comes to getting your health care, because, you have that right to know, how much it costs is one aspect. So a lot of times you get these doctors that keep on doing these tests and tests and tests and tests, and you have the right to ask and saying, "Hey, listen, is this test necessary? What are you trying to find out? Is there alternatives, safer alternatives, more expensive alternatives? Is it?" And it's just asking those questions really, puts. You're not trying to so much challenge the doctor and his expertise and his knowledge, but shouldn't you know? I mean, "Hey, I don't understand it. Could you please explain this to me? Why is this so much more necessary? I've heard that other people do it this way. What's the difference?" Something to that effect. I mean, you should be allowed to have a conversation and really, eliminate all that gray area and because it's never really a discussion. More or less, it's a discussion of trying to get you diagnosed and the treatments necessary in order to make you better. And you do have that right in order to ask those questions and such. But unfortunately, what the healthcare industry is prone to do is, all these large hospital groups that are out there, they've bought up all these little private practices.
Mhm.
No longer, did they have Doctor such and such practice. It's now got that placard on it of a large hospital group. They're part of that group, and they're now that they're part of the group, they're obligated to you know um, prescribe a certain amount of labs, X-rays, mammograms, ultrasounds, CT scans, regardless of whether or not they're actually necessary, because they've got a quota of actual things that they have to do. And it's unfortunate that they'll try to stack the deck again. Oh, we work really well with these people. We'll set your appointment for you. That should be a huge red flag because in many cases, there could be kickbacks. That's a red flag alert. It's, oh, we work well with these people. The doctors golf every Saturday. So, but you're say if you want to get a non-contrast MRI and you go where they tell you to go, you could be spending anywhere from 4,500 to 55 on up. But I know where you can get a non-contrast MRI right down the road from me for $250 cash. And it's just that realization of people understanding, you know, being in the industry as long as I have been, being your bodyguard, I can tell you, hey, listen, if you have any kind of lab work, any kind of imaging, any kind of testing, it'll behoove you to get the order, and we could probably get it for a lot less expensive. The same image, the same lab. It's going to go to your doctor just like he wants it to, but you're going to pay a lot less for it. And really, it's just looking out for the. It's unfortunate that people get in those problems and they don't listen to me, and then I have to negotiate their excessive medical bill. But I do it all. I do it all when it comes down to it. We just don't leave you standing.
Let me ask you this question. I've worked for both big companies and little companies. And when is it best for somebody to, like, obviously, if you're working for a company that is paying the majority of your insurance, I mean, yeah, you're always going to pay into it a little bit. Um, you know, they should still check with you to see if you can do anything, right? Or should you just say, no, are you going to be able to tell them the insurance that you've got right now, there's no way we can beat that? Or are you going to be able to take and customize something around them?
That's a great question. Now, the first thing you said was, what is the best? Now, good, best, bad, worse, that's an opinion. The only opinion that matters is the one who's the policyholder. Can we agree on that? So, what's
Yep.
right for the policyholder is ultimately what the question should be able to answer. In most cases, when you get group coverage through an employer, it's always really good as far as the coverage it offers for the employee. And you got to be careful because in many cases, when you add your spouse and dependents to that same policy, all of a sudden now the employee is on the hook to pay for the spouse and all of the dependents that would be on the policy as well. It's not always that way, but in many cases, it quite simply can't. It can be that way. I can usually assist with those situations, but ultimately, it's all about the needs and the budget and everybody's situation could be different. Back in the day when you had group coverage through an employer, I mean, growing up, my dad worked for Donnelly Printing, and my entire family was covered through Donnelly Printing, and my dad had awesome coverage and stuff. So, back in the day, it really just covered everybody, but because of the Affordable Care Act, when there's more than 50 employees in the business, every policy has to adhere to the 10 essential benefits required, or there's a penalty per day for every individual that's not offered that type of coverage. So there's and then unfortunately the cost of the business would then therefore be passed on to the the employees and paying for it. So it's a slippery slope. Some companies are have that large amount of employees that can really help mitigate the cost would it be for spouses and dependents, and so you know it's usually more cost effective because let's face it, the group coverage has usually got probably better networks access to more doctors facilities, probably has PPO national PPO networks that offer you know whether it's in or out of network, so allows you a lot more flexibility. But in most cases, people who get coverage, there's a reason why they call them benefits. I mean, usually they're usually pretty stout, they're pretty good, but it never hurts a person to ask that question, could I do better? And you know what? You're going to feel a lot better if you know that you're in the best situation possible, that you made the right decision. You're going to be able to sleep better at night, knowing that you've got the most cost of, and knowing it is, reassuring to somebody. And, it's helpful to be able to speak with somebody, because information for me about coverage, doing the policy evaluations and such like that, all that information is free. So I'm more than happy to do that for you. Heck, I had a 26-year-old young lady who was coming off of her parents, she's a 26-year-old coming off her parents' health coverage, and this was the first time she was looking at group coverage through her employer. And unfortunately, you got a benefits coordinator, not a licensed agent. They're really not going to be able to effectively explain the choices that they got. Usually, it's like, you got three choices, pick one. Really, uh, I spent some time with her, and there was there's no money in it for me. I'm just, it's a good reputation to help out a young lady who's like, I'm thinking about having a baby with my husband and I, and so all right, so if I'm asking her, is your OBGYN in this network that they're offering? No? Okay. Well, all right. So what you're saying is that this network would be better if you were going to deliver a baby with this coverage, correct? So we went through it. I made her feel comfortable about this. She made the decision based on the information I was able to provide for her. But that's just, that's a lot of stuff that I do to, I wish I had somebody that I could lean on and ask all those questions too, and without having to buy something first. So,
I
it's
think
fun.
that's probably one of the I think that, that's probably one of the biggest problems with, and especially people who are getting up there in age, we think about, okay, the first time that we bought insurance, the first time that we went out and got insurance for ourselves, we didn't have any of this. And then the first time something happened and we went and we were stuck with this huge bill, like, what the hell am I paying for insurance for if I'm still going to have to pay this absorbent amount of money?
And
So
and you're absolutely right. It, it falls into like the interpretation of a policy and all of the things that can occur when a claim is done, submitted. I mean, spin the wheel. I mean, for uh, a major sickness, a major accident. There's all sorts of different factors that like emergency appendectomy. Just all these different things that can occur, and before you know it, you've got a bill for $35,000, and you're like, okay, all right, well, then you come to find out that it was through the emergency room, and the surgeon wasn't in network, but we our advocacy aspect is uh, never pay the first bill. You see this excessive bill, and never pay the first bill, and we'll always say what the first course of action is, and that's, do you have financial assistance available? So we'll have people fill out paperwork for financial assistance, because in many cases people don't realize that not-for-profit hospitals have to offer assistance, and then you've got other for-profit hospitals that are out there too. But we also go to the extent of actually itemization of all charges, because 80% of all medical billing nowadays intentionally has mistakes and errors deliberately put into it, and just daring you to see where they're at, and if you're going to just pay for them or not. As I say, never pay the first bill. There's always something that can be done. And my wife, just last month, she's the head of our advocacy department, got a $107,000 medical claim down to 7 grand. So, I mean, it can be done. Yeah, it's scary, but just calm down. Sometimes it takes a little bit of time of just getting all that information. Because they do drag their feet in gathering the details that's going to allow you to really scrutinize. And you know what? Why do they drag their feet? Because they know that they threw a bunch of crap in that bill, and they're seeing whether or not you're going to take it.
No, Rob, I think one of the things that I tell people all the time, and I'm pretty sure that you'll agree with this, okay? One of the worst things to do when you're recovering from something, from an injury, from whatever, is stress. That just makes your body not want to heal. It doesn't make your body not want to heal. It just keeps your body from healing.
Right.
And having someone like you on board who can help explain these things helps alleviate that stress a little bit, right?
And I'm happy to do it because you know it's just my calling is to be a resource and really care about that. You're put in a situation and you know you feel like you're stuck on that deserted island. Yeah, I'm alive, but man, there's nobody around. I'm the only one out here. We'll help you walk slow, kind of set your expectations, and just as long as you're committed to us, we'll be committed to you. And we've been very successful. And it's just understand it's not one of those things that gets done in a weekend. I had a person that had a CT scan through the emergency room. Now she was there for 45 minutes, got a medical bill of $12,479. And, we started working with her and tried to do some negotiation, and they weren't biting, but we had a tactic we used, um, because their website said that a CT scan would cost $150. So we turned the billing department into the state's attorney's office, and lo and behold, on December 3rd, 2021, my policyholder got a phone call asking if from the billing department saying, "Would you accept $200 as a settlement for this claim?" And she called up us. She called us up. She was crying, and she goes, "What did you guys do?" And I got the chills from it because Merry Christmas. We just wiped out $12,279. Now you only have to pay $200 for the CT scan, and it was excessive price gouging. And like I said, they're gonna ask for it. They're gonna see whether or not you're foolish enough to not do anything about it. And you know what? But there's always different alternatives, and state regulators of price gouging and such. That's just another effective tool that we've it's not something new. It's just the people. It's a level of awareness. I mean, we know how to tackle a lot of these situations. We'll it's not what we're getting on the phone and screaming at people at all. We're asking, and then we're basically letting them know that, well, I'm sure your state's attorney's office isn't going to really appreciate how much you charged and with this itemization of charges. But I've had people got surgeries from a robot and had no idea they're getting surgeries from a robot. They had their insurance information, and they knew that going through this surgery, they would wind up having to pay like $35,000 that the insurance wasn't going to cover for 'em. So it's like you knew it and you allowed me to go through with it, and yeah, so we used a very similar tactic. Plus, they were a religious hospital too, so but we got it wiped out totally.
You brought up a good point. You getting on there screaming and yelling and cussing at them, and first off, you're doing that to somebody who really doesn't have a whole hell of a lot to do with your bill. Their job is to call you and tell you that you owe
Usually, it's
money.
the messenger that's
Yeah,
delivering the bad news.
but the truth is they've also got this thing called a script to where you know what, they They have your coverage. They know every little nook and cranny where they can hide things. That's
I,
the reason why having somebody like you there
yeah, and
is
I have to tell you, Zach, it's a good thing that Filipino call centers are in the Philippines, or my wife would be buying a plane ticket, wanting to beat the crap out of everybody in that building because they have a script and they're taught to repeat the question that you ask. It's so monotonous, and yeah,
yet
it gets
it's
to the point where it's, there's certain carriers, certain insurance companies that I got to get on the phone with these people, and I got it's not to mention, oh, you need to talk with this department, and you were on hold for an hour already, and then they drop the call, and so, but that's the other thing too is that does a person that this occurs to, their expertise is not, you know, really trying to figure out how to solve this problem. On top of, they don't have the time to stay on hold and be patient because they're working, or they got a career, they got a livelihood, and we do all that stuff. So it's unfortunate, and I mean, and really, we're really not that expensive, and you don't even have to have insurance to leverage my services, because let's just say, for instance, you're rolling a dice. I'm healthy, until you're not, or until you get into an accident, something that's usually what happens, and then we got to go back and battle and try to get things negotiated down. But there's always room to negotiate, and you know what? If you're going through this stuff alone and you don't call me, shame on you. Come on, man. I mean, doesn't cost you anything to talk with me, and really, like I said, we're pretty cost effective. We're only $9 a month for an individual, $16 a month for a couple, and $22 a month for a family, and that's per month. And you know it's not insurance; it's a service to take care of you and help you manage and navigate your care. And really, like I said, we want you to be consumers of your health care, and not put up with all the other stuff. I mean, don't do it by yourself if you can avoid it. Invite us in. We're not gonna try to you know be unethical by any means. I mean, it's just you know we're 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 more up to the task of getting you some help, and really, it's yeah, I mean, it's the least we can do. And like I said, I wish I had somebody like me that I could do stuff with, because I've had some major instances of injuries where flipped over the handlebars of a mountain bike, completely dislocated my AC joint and got a pin put in for my surgery. Wound up getting staph infection from that pin, had to have 3 more surgeries, a week stay in the hospital, IV therapy for 2 months, and, I mean, I've been through those serious situations before, so I can empathize, and, you know
you're already scared, you're already pissed off, you're already
Right,
angry at the
yeah,
world, and the last thing you need is any of that. Uh,
right.
you and your bride, you guys are entering into a new realm. Actually, not really a new realm, but
Yeah, it's a partnership that, we've got, because, the other aspect of, just life in general is, you know mortgages, and owning a home, and debt, credit card bills, and things of that nature. Well, I've become a or I've now I have access to proprietary software that it's a new way to help you actually devise a almost a GPS to pay off all your mortgage, all your debt, credit card bills, your student loans, HELOCs, all these different things, and not have to change your spending habits or pull out new loans and refinance and do those things, and still have the ability to build wealth And it's a really interesting formula because I mean, I've got the software, and I'm going to be out of debt, own my home in less than 3 years, and I'm just like, I'm a believer in it, and imagine if you could figure out the ways to really, leverage your wealth in a different fashion that protects you even better than I mean, yeah, everybody would like to invest, but let's invest and be safe about it and not lose money. And so it's kind of a combination of annuities, index life, and also managing your finances. But it's really one of those things where it's a philosophy and an awareness of things that I wish they would have taught this stuff to us when we were in high school because, had I known all this stuff, I probably would have gone to college. I probably would have gone out and started working and doing all these things and knew that this was the way to build wealth and I mean, I'm going to teach people how to become their own banks for goodness sake. So, I mean, really, I mean, if you can be your own bank, you're definitely going to want to know about it. And yeah, I just love to be able to talk with people, and it's really all about education, and the education aspect of that process is totally free. So, you got to be educated in order to really understand it, and it's not like you have to pay for the education, but I'd be willing to, sit down with anybody and just get them to buy into. I mean, are you comfortable losing a bunch of money through the market, or would you rather learn how you can secure your income and build for tax-free income for your retirement? So yeah, it's called RNC Financial, and the Robin Carmel Financial. So that's what the RNC is for. But yeah, I'm really excited about that. Still doing the health insurance, still doing the advocacy, but it's a complete kind of holistic protection aspect that I'm trying to achieve for anybody that works with Carmel and I.
Well, so you're really out there and you're just doing everything you can to truly make a difference to help protect people. And I greatly appreciate that, Rob. That's one of the reasons why I wanted you to get on here, so I could try to introduce you to people. I hope eventually you and I are able to work together. You and I have been talking about doing some things together, but I want you to, real quick before we get off here, tell me, why do you have such an emphasis on wanting to help our heroes?
You know, for somebody who's willing to put their life on the line for me, I'm always going to be at your service. And, I just feel that whatever it is that we can do to support our veterans, as far as I'm concerned, it's never enough. I mean, really, it's, I mean, you're leaving a lot of yourself sometimes that you left it on the battlefield more or less. I mean, and getting that back is is arduous of a task for many people, and it's just the empathy and the admiration of just the courage that they show to volunteer, and the fact that you're willing to do it on my behalf. I've always got a place for you in my heart, and I'll never stop acknowledging the appreciation that I've got for you.
Rob, how do people get a hold of you?
The easiest way is, I've got a toll free no I've got my cell phone number is probably the easiest way, which is, area code 813-943-9683, and my email is rob at rn as in Nancy, c financial.com.
You've also got a For My card, which you can see right here. There you
And
go.
yep.
And
And
so you get a hold of that for my card, and it's going to give you more information, right?
definitely, yes. And on that for my card, you've got a 15-minute call, 30-minute call, so however much time you want. But once we do an initial conversation, we'll definitely be able to figure out what is going to be the most appropriate solution for you. And you know what? It's always free. You never have to pay any money for information.
It sounds great. You can find Rob on LinkedIn, Twitter, and also you can find his website on his For My Card. You can find all this stuff right there.
And on Facebook, I've got a business page. It's Your Health Insurance Bodyguard, Rob Hohmann, Your Health Insurance Bodyguard. So, yeah, I've got some presence. In fact, I was just working on my YouTube channel and just put up a new health insurance bodyguard video that, yeah, it's a picture of me putting on my gear and I just do a voiceover. But it's all about trying to turn you into a consumer of your health care instead of being a victim. Feels really good. Feels really good.
Well, I'll send you this video as soon as I'm done with it, and you'll have another video to add to your YouTube channel. You can get a hold of Rob one more time by calling 813-943-9683. So, Rob, any last words you would like for anybody?
I am here to help first and foremost, and really, everybody likes to win. Let's win together.
All right. And, Rob mentioned it before. Look, this is what we're talking about, and nobody has to go it alone. When we all come together, don't go into a situation that you don't completely understand. Let somebody who has a little bit of experience with it be by your side. You're going to win a lot easier if you've got somebody there.
You know what? Don't feel ashamed of this occurring to you because it happens to the best of everybody. Don't hesitate to give me a call. We'll tackle it together. And you know what? Let's laugh about it after we win.
Sounds good.
All
Rob, thank you very much. I appreciate it. And we will be right back.